Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm obviously, like the title says, going to be doing my May wrap-up. But first I want to go ahead and let everybody know who's watching, whether you're a subscriber or you just, stumbled onto this video somehow, that this is me formally supporting on video with my face and my voice that I am a very big supporter of the Black Lives Matter movement, and it's something that is necessary and important, and it's not something that I think is negotiable. So this is kind of me saying, if you are someone who's gonna say all lives matter, please don't comment. I'll just block you, because that's such an irrelevant and stupid retaliation. All lives can't matter until Black Lives Matter. And I also want to point you to Black creators who have a totally different experience than I could ever even fathom, because I am, like, as you can see, one of the whitest looking people on the planet. And I just want to amplify their voices, because what they say is actually important, and it's important that we not only watch and listen and engage with Black creators, but also that we hear what they're saying and do the things that they tell us they need us to do. So whether that be donating if you can, signing petitions, which you all can, or buying certain books, supporting certain authors, challenging businesses who have made racist stances. I live in Birmingham, Alabama, so if you don't know anything about the history of civil rights, I will tell you Birmingham has played a very big role. We unfortunately have a very dark history. That is what I study in school and university. I do study history. My focus is not American history, but I do really love and appreciate American history. So I am very interested in the study of African American history. I think it's important, and it's the backbone of our country, along with Indigenous history. So if you maybe don't know, have you heard of the church bombing where the 4 little Black girls were killed by KKK members? That was here. If you've heard of Just Mercy, that story is about a man who was, wrongly imprisoned in Alabama. Basically, we are just full of racist history. Whatever good can come of this, I want to help push that forward, because there's no going back. I keep seeing people talking about when things go back to normal, like, no, we don't want things to go back to normal. That's the whole point. Normal is Black lives mattering half of a white life, if even. So I wanted to take the first part of this video, because I know that's the part that most people watch before they click off, and make my stance on the issue known, but also point you to the description where I will have linked petitions you can sign, places you can donate, and one in particular, we have one here in Birmingham, the Birmingham Bail Fund, because we are under a curfew right now in Birmingham, and it pretty much only applies to protesting. There's allowances for like everything else, and they are arresting people just sitting there. They've arrested at least 2 members of our media who said, I'm in the media, I'm allowed to be here, and the police did not care. I would love for you to donate to the Birmingham Bail Fund to help bail these people out who are literally just protesting, and that's where they were arrested. We had one instance of a protest turn to riot, and almost every single one of the businesses, the small local owned businesses that was a target, like maybe had a window smashed or a computer stolen, because that's really the worst that it got. Almost every single one of them have come out in solidarity with the movement and said sometimes windows have to get broken, because you can repair those, but you can't bring a Black man or woman or child back to life. And I think that that's the most important thing, and we have to be loud about that. People getting upset about the property damage are getting upset about the wrong things. So it is important, as a creator, not just me, but every white creator. Now is your chance to make sure people know that you're not okay with the way things have been, in the history of the United States, because it's our job as white people with privilege to use our privilege. And I have a tiny platform. I think I have 84 subscribers, but I want my 84 subscribers to know where I stand and to be easily directed to those who are black and have important things to say, so that I can help them be heard and seen, and to sign the petitions that do make a difference. They do. We've seen that with the officers of George Floyd, the ones who were responsible, all of them. They have now all been arrested, and they have upped the charge on the main guy, for the one who actually murdered him on camera, to 2nd-degree murder from 3rd. So that is an improvement, and that's because of petitions and protests and people getting mad and breaking stuff. And so we know it works. We've seen it in history. Any change that's ever come to our nation has been from people being fed up and angry. So this is me saying I'm also fed up and angry, and I want our kids, I want my friends' kids, I want them to have a better world than what we are leaving them right now. They deserve that. They didn't choose to come into this place, and we owe it to them to make it better and safer and equitable for everyone. So I just wanted to say my piece. I don't think being quiet or silent is an option. I think it's compliance. And now I'm going to talk about some books, because that's what the title of the video is. And thank you for listening, and please don't just stop at listening. Please click the links in the description. Can I get away with wearing my glasses? Is this gonna bother you guys? Or the light glare? I can't see. So yeah, I did not read very much in May. May was a lot. May was a long month. I don't know, this quarantine is just getting to me, I think. In May, we did celebrate my youngest daughter turning 2. We couldn't have a party, obviously, so we just had my in-laws come, and I got her a little tiny cake from the Publix bakery, and she thought it was the best day ever because there were balloons and we sang to her. So honestly, if you're gonna have to skip a birthday party, 2 is a good age to have to do it. But as far as the books, I just kind of didn't really set a real TBR for myself, because I just wanted to mood read. And it was Asian and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, so I wanted to make sure that I was able to read, you know, as many Asian-owned voices books as I could, and I definitely did do that. So I will say the first book that I started, and actually I'm still not done with this because I got into like a very big slump at the end of May and the beginning of June, when, you know, it was just really heavy, and I just felt like I needed to sit in that uncomfortableness, and I just couldn't, I didn't want to escape how uncomfortable everything was, because I felt like it was really important to process how I was feeling. And just, I spent that time listening and watching and reading things that Black creators had to say. So I haven't finished it yet, but I am picking it back up to finish it, and that is The Silence of Bones. That is by June Her. This is, I think when I hauled this, I gave just a spectacularly wrong synopsis. I think I even said, like, I don't know what this is about, but I think I said it was a fantasy, which is hilariously wrong. This is historical, but it's like a historical mystery, kind of. I don't even know if I'll call it a thriller. It is set in the Joseon Empire, which is what became Korea. And it is set in Hanyang, which is what became Seoul, which is the capital of Joseon. And it is the perspective of basically a slave. She is a damo, which means she works for the police bureau, and she lives there and she sleeps there, and her whole life is doing what they tell her to do. And she has really nothing else going on. She is a woman, so they have to take her whenever there is like a female involved in something. So this book opens with the murder of a upper class female, and so she has to inspect the body and see the murder. And as far as I've gotten, let's see, like 130 pages in, she is trying to help an inspector who is kind and good to her solve the murder of this woman. And it gets crazy. There's Catholics, which were persecuted in Joseon because they are Western, and in Joseon they were kind of bringing back the Confucius system, which is pretty caste heavy, and so it's just kind of like about religion. It's about being a woman in this time when women were pretty low, especially low-born women, and it's a really well written book. I just keep falling asleep whenever I finally get to pick it back up, but so this is the first one I started in May and didn't finish yet, but I will. Okay, so the next thing I was like, you know, I'm gonna listen to an audiobook because I have time. I always have at least one audiobook going while reading a physical book. So the first one I picked up was Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa, and this is the first in a trilogy, which I think it's the Shadow of the Fox trilogy, but it's set in Japan, but it's like a fantastical Japan where it's built on the ancient like mythology, where we have like, you know, the Oni, and we have Kitsune, which is like a fox spirit, which is our main character is half Kitsune, so it's about her, and the whole thing is about finding the pieces of this special scroll that they need to summon this dragon spirit who's like a god and can grant the person who summons him one wish, and it only comes like, God, I don't remember, like every 1,000 years or something like that. And so it's broken up into 3 books, and I actually read all 3 of them. The first one I liked. I think I gave it 3 stars, 3.5 stars. It's literally like reading the script of an anime. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen, it was like one of my favorite anime growing up. It's called Fushigi Yugi, and it's a 90s anime, and it's set in Japan, but it's a time travel story where the main girl, Miyaka, gets sucked into like this book that takes her back into ancient China, and all of it is about a scroll and summoning this god. And so that's the feels I got. I really liked the supporting cast of characters that surrounded our main character, which, what is our main character's name even? I don't even remember. Oh, okay, so the main character's name is Yumeko. I don't know why I couldn't remember that. And she was like an orphan that was taken in by these like monks at a temple. And she ends up meeting up with a guy whose name was Kage Tatsumi, and he is the Kage demon slayer. So he has this sword that has a demon soul trapped in it, and he's really fierce, and he's not allowed to like have feelings and all that, and his only job basically is to kill demons. He's like an attack dog for his clan. And so it's just a story of them traveling kind of all over the empire, encountering different enemies for each book, but then also just like this main like overarching enemy plot. It's really, really interesting because the Tatsumi character, he's Tatsumi, but he also is the demon that is in the sword. So you get, it's a lot. I don't want to spoil, but that's in the 2nd and 3rd books that you learn more about the demon Hakumono, I think that's his name. So the 2nd book was Soul of the Sword, and I liked that one a little bit more. I gave it 3.5 stars. I will say I read all these really, really fast, like in a day or 2 for each book. Like I finished an entire trilogy within like a week. The audio has 2 different narrators, so it has a female and a male narrator because the chapters like alternate. And I did see that if you read the physical that could be a little bit confusing because there's no like header at the beginning of the chapter to know whose perspective you're reading from. It takes you a minute to figure that out, so I think that would have been annoying if I hadn't had an audio to listen to. But yeah, the Soul of the Sword I liked a little bit more. I like how like kind of slow burn the romance it was up until the 3rd book, and then it was just kind of like they've been separated for like an entire book, and so they don't actually know each other all that well, but somehow absence made the heart grow fonder. But I don't know that that was necessarily supported in the text, but it was just a good time. You know, it is a YA fantasy, so they are pretty usually romance heavy, but Night of the Dragon I gave 4 stars. That's the concluding novel. It was good. It was like a conclusion to your favorite anime, you know. I did like it. It was sad. It got me. The last like I don't know, 30 minutes of the audiobook. Like, I knew it was coming and it still got me, and the end was like, duh, but I still was like, if that hadn't happened, I would have been mad. So I'm glad that it was predictable in that way. But I would recommend these if you just need something to kind of get you out of a rut. If you want to knock some books off of your Goodreads challenge, this is a good, easy way to get all 3 knocked out. I think they're all 3 on script audiobooks, and I know my library had at least 1 or 2 of them, both ebook and audio. But yeah, overall I would say the series is probably like a 3.75 4-star series, and it's a good way, you know, to read an Asian author instead of just your run-of-the-mill white fantasy, because everybody in this series is Japanese, implied Japanese. I don't know if they ever even say Japan, because it is like a fantastical version of Japan. But there's a lot of good representation. Well, my memory card filled up apparently while I was in the middle of talking, so I actually don't even know the last thing that I said. I think I was talking about the Shadow of the Fox series. But yeah, read that. And then the next thing that I read was for book club. I actually listened to the audio, but I read along on my Kindle app, on my iPad as well. Okay, so like I said, this was a book club pick from one of my members, and the book that I read was How Not to Die Alone, and that is by Richard Roeper. This was also previously a book of the month pick that I did not choose. But yeah, it was okay. What did I give it? I gave it 3 stars, and my only review that I have right now on Goodreads was the like shrug emoji looking thing that says, I mean, it was fine, which I guess is like truly the best way that I can think to describe this book. It was like very forgettable. It felt like the white cis man version of Eleanor Oliphant. It felt like that's what they were trying to do, but it just did not have the same, like, I don't know, endearing, just really amazing, wonderful, compulsive writing that book had. It's about a man, please don't ask me his name because I have already forgotten, and he works for the council somewhere in the UK. I forgot that as well, maybe somewhere in England. So when people die and they don't have anybody who like claim them or whatever, they go in and go through all of their things to try to identify who they were and who their next of kin or like emergency contact person is, and they try to get them like a funeral. So this guy is just, it was very frustrating because the like the main plot point of this whole thing is lying or just miscommunication and then not fixing it and then letting it continue to go on and like control your whole life, and it was so annoying. I did not like that. I hate miscommunication, and when that's like literally the crux of your book, like everything that happens is because of this. It's just, I can only give it so many stars on principle, you know, but also I just didn't really like it that much. So it's about him, and he somehow lied that he had a wife and kids, Diane and the kids, and he is single and he lives in like a little apartment with nothing but like model train sets that he collects, and it's about him. And then this new woman starts, her name is Peggy, I remember that. So, and she's married to an alcoholic, and she also has children, and it's a little uncomfy because they definitely have a moment when they both think that the other one is married and has children, and they still cross that line, which is like one of my least favorite things to read about. I don't enjoy cheating. I don't enjoy anything in that lane. So yeah, it was just very okay. The guy's just really whiny. All of his problems could have been solved by just telling the truth. They try to make you like understand and feel bad for him because of the bad things that have happened to him in the past, but like bad shit happens to everybody. So I mean, I don't lie to everyone that I meet in my entire coworkers, and I don't know, 3 stars. It's fine. I don't think that I read anything else in May. Like I said, I'm still reading The Silence of Bones. I definitely meant to read a lot more, so I don't even know if there's a point in oh my god, I just coughed and sneezed at the same time. I don't know if there is even a point to making a TBR for June, because I know for sure I'm reading a couple of things, but that's really it. Everything else is just kind of like if I get to it. So I'll briefly discuss what I'm reading. I am taking part in the read-along that's going on Instagram, and that is being hosted by Melanated Reader, and it starts on Juneteenth, which, if you don't know what Juneteenth is, please look that up. That's another part of our history that you need to know about. But the book she's hosting a read-along for is Stamped from the Beginning. That is by Ibram X. Kendi. And I picked up this book from my local bookstore, Thank You Books, and I did not expect her to be so thick, but she's thick. And I'm very excited to read this. I freaking love nonfiction. I read it anyway, so getting to read it with hundreds of other people at the same time and hear people's perspective that this directly affects, I am excited for it. I cannot wait. Yeah, if you're interested, I will link Melanated Reader's Instagram, so you still have plenty of time to join, because Juneteenth is June 19th, so that's when we're starting, and she has it all paced out. And there's also like a younger adult version of this, and like I think it's like for earlier readers, teenagers, 11, 12, 13, called Stamped, and that is with Ibram X. Kendi and Jason Reynolds. So I'm actually getting that version for my daughter, and we're going to read it together as well, because she is extremely interested in anything having to do with why things are the way they are today as far as race relations. So I want her to get the full history of that as well. So that's one book for sure I'm going to read. Another book that I know for sure I have to read, because it's a book club pick for my real life book club, and that is Brain on Fire by Susana Callahan. And that book's been around for a while. I think there's even a Netflix adaptation, which I've heard is poorly done, but I think that's about her dealing with some sort of illness. I don't know. I'll let you know next month though. And then the last book that I am like positive that I'm gonna read is one that is my book of the month pick, and it's still not here, and they shipped it on May 30th, and you can believe I check that tracking every single day, because the author this is her second book, and I was so obsessed with her first book. I bought it like the day it came out. That's Britt Bennett, and the book that I'm waiting on is The Vanishing Half, which just came out this past Tuesday, June 2nd, and I'm so excited because I freaking love The Mothers by her. She is also a Black author. I really love her writing, and I've been waiting for her to come out with another book, and the fact that it was a book of the month pick made that even better, because I only paid $15 for the hardcover, and I cannot wait for it to get here. So hopefully that'll be here next month. I also read a book already that I finished. I think I finished it like the first or second day of June, and I listened to it on audio, and that is called All Boys Aren't Blue, and that's by George M. Johnson, and that is a young adult memoir. He is Black, he is queer. It's just very good. I think that it's got a simpler type of writing than a lot of people are used to with like adult memoirs, and there's a reason for that. This book is written for young people, because there's nothing out there for them. Like, he discusses his first, you know, like gay intimate moments, and they don't teach any kind of gay sex education. They don't teach the history, they don't teach anything in most schools, certainly not here in Alabama. So I think this is something that teenagers need to read. So I gave it, oh, I almost slipped up and told you what I gave it. I won't tell you that, I'll talk more about that in my wrap up for June. But yeah, I read that. Oh, I read it June 3rd all in one day. I listened to it on 2x speed. It's very quick to get through, and it's just about his life. So those are all the books that I'm for sure going to finish. I mean, those are all the books that I'm for sure going to read in June, and of course I will probably add some more. My battery's flashing at me because I've been talking for way too long, so I'm gonna wrap this up. But please make sure you check out those links down below. Like I said, they're important. And please leave a comment. Tell me what you're reading for June. And I will talk to you guys again soon. Bye.